Hello everyone, I hope that you all are doing well. So in this section, we are going to understand how to validate the form. So we aware about how to create the form, how to handle the submit, how to add buttons, how to call related handler functions, right? Now we are submitting something and that data should be validated, right? So there will be a logging form. There are some validations to insert password. Okay, whenever we register ourselves somewhere. So there are some criterias, right, to put valid password. So valid password should be 8 character length, and it should contain some special symbols. It should not started with the number or a special symbols. Like this, lots of criterias are there. Or in a form, if you observe, there are few fields are must required and few fields are optional. So how we are going to do these things in a React? So there are different libraries available, as well as we can handle it in a React framework. And whatever data you are passing to the through the React form, that data also we can validate, right? So let's check it. So I have one example over here. So I have created one form, okay, and in this form, I have one form on submit. Then whenever we are submitting this form, some handler function we are calling, and which is nothing but a handle submit. Later, what is there in the inside the form? There is a one input to insert the username. Then there is one more input for the email and one more input for the password. Okay, so there are some extra line of codes it's written over there. Just ignore it right now. We will understand one by one, but only try to focus on there are the three fields. One is the username, another one is the email, and another one is the password. Okay, so these three fields are there, and input type is text. Username name is nothing but a username for first input. Placeholder, we have written the word username. Value is nothing but whatever the current form value. This is the state variable where we are maintaining some initial values. This thing also we have observed in a previous videos, right? So we already created some object, we maintain it in a state, and whatever the initial value of that object, we are putting it as a value. Okay, it's a controlled form thing. And on change, we are calling one more handle. So this is the one input, and the label is username. Similarly, there is a one more input for the email, and same things are there: type, name, placeholder, value, on change. We are calling the handler method, and here it is the email. So there are some extra divs and all these things are there. So for the proper CSS and all, we are handling it. And one paragraph tag is there. So whenever we are applying some validations over the form, and that related validations, if that doesn't get followed, then obviously we are going to throw the errors. So to display that errors, we have created one this paragraphs, okay, in between. Next is nothing but a next field. One more paragraph if we are not following whatever the requirements for the email field. Then there is a one more input for the password. Same thing, type, name, placeholder, value change, and the error for the password. Next is the button, okay, and that's it. So we are handling the event, click event on submit event here on the form. So what will happen? Let's check it manually. Let's debrief it or just compile it manually. So whenever we are trying to enter the username, okay. So username will call the handle change method. So where is my handle change method? Let's check it. So here it is, the handle change method. Okay. So inside the handle change, what I'm doing, I have created one key value pair. So by default, my initial state variable is there. whose name is a form value, and form value contains these are the default init values. Okay, so the way we have added the card init value, similarly we have a initial values for the form, and that initial value we have passed as the initial state value for the form value. Okay, now whatever the initial value, the same way we are putting key and values. Okay, key is nothing but the name and the value is nothing but a value. Okay, so like this, we have created the form value object. Okay, so consider whatever we are writing inside the username, that will be the username colon whatever the value, email colon whatever the value, password colon whatever the value, and this value will get set to the form value state variable. Fine. So same thing will happen when you try to enter the username, try to enter the password, try to enter the email. Fine. Now what will happen when you click on a submit? Consider I have entered all the things and now I am submitting this particular form. So where it will go? When I click on a submit, it will go to the handler function, and that is nothing but a handle submit. So where is the handle submit? Here it is. First of all, we have added the prevent default, which is so obvious, okay, to prevent the default behavior of a form, which is refreshing the thing. Next, what we are doing, if whenever we are submitting the form and at that time we entered something wrong, okay, and that wrong should, we are entering something data, okay, and if that data is not validated, if that data is not correct, so we are setting some errors. Now try to focus on the line number 70. What this line is doing, this line is calling one validate function. Okay, to whom we have to validate? We have to validate all the form values. Okay, so whatever I have entered, whatever the values I have entered here, all those values will get validated. If the validated, if the validation is unsuccessful, so it will set that particular error, it will return. What is the return type of a validate? It's a error. So whatever the error object gets sent, that will set to the our state variable form errors. Okay, and set is submit true. Now we want one instance whether the form has been submitted or not. Okay, so basically we are validating the form values, and if some errors came, that errors will get set to our state variable, and next we are setting the set is submit state variable to the true. Okay, now we are calling this validate function. Where it is? Let's check where it is. Where is the validate function? Now let's scroll down a little bit. If you observe, here it is the validate function. Validate function has one parameter values, which are nothing but a form values. Okay. Now what we are doing, empty errors are there because we want to, this particular validate function is returning the error object. Now initially the error object is empty. Now we are setting the regular expression and we are checking not dot values username. Okay, so if username is not available, then what we are doing, we are setting the errors dot username with the username is required. If the values of a email is not there, then we are setting the errors dot email with the error email required. Same for the password. Now few more validations is required for the email. Now we will apply the regular expression. Okay, so fine, this condition satisfied. Else if another condition to verify or validate the email is nothing but a regular expression dot test. What we are testing? We are testing the values dot email. So this is the regular expression. Okay, so it should have at the rate, it should have a dot and all these things. If it doesn't having this thing, then obviously it will this set the errors email errors dot email with this particular message. Now for the password, first validation is password is required. Second one is if it is less than 4, then we are going to put the message, okay, the password must be more than 4 character. And if it is greater than 10, then we are putting some message like, okay, password cannot be exceed more than 10 characters. So that particular values went through this if else and all these conditions, and finally it will return the error, okay, to the location wherever this validate function get called. So here is the location where the validate function get called. So we are passing the values, validate function will check all those values, and if errors comes, related errors will set, and that error object gets set to the state variable form errors. Okay, now this thing is done. Now whenever we get any form errors, okay, what we need to do, so we have to set some side effects. Okay, so after execution, after rendering, if something is happening, it means we are setting the use, we have to use the use effect hook, right? So use effect hook specially for the side effect, and this is nothing but a side effect. We are validating the form and there is a result. So what we will do, we will check, okay, we will log console.log the form errors, what are the different errors are there, and from object.keys form errors.length is equal to 0 and it's submit, then we will console log this particular thing. Otherwise, what we are doing, whenever the error comes, this particular use effect will get executed. Okay, we are keep checking whether it is available or not, whether some errors are not, if errors are there, we are doing we are just verifying it. Okay, so here after verification, okay, so what we are checking, after every render we are checking whether the error length is 0 and it's submit. So everything is fine, error length, we haven't received any error, where there all the values are properly validated, then we are going to put this message signed in successfully. If something happen, okay, if some errors are there, then what we are going to do, so it will display the here is the conditional operator, can you see it, the conditional operator is there. So if is this thing, if it's not get submitted, then in between what we are doing, we are printing the form values. Okay, so whatever the form values are there, we are printing it, and if it is everything is fine, then we are just putting the signed and successful. So let's execute this application, Control S, and here it is. So initial value get printed. Okay, so this is the line, it will get printed. Okay, now what I'm doing, I just enter something like okay, and I'll try to submit. Okay, as soon as I enter here, the value updated for the username and it's get printed. So I'm clicking on a submit. So once I clicked on a submit, errors obviously occur. Obviously the email required and password required. So as soon as click on a submit in this situation, okay, so it will redirect to the handle submit. It will set the form error. It will call the validate with the form values. Validate says, okay, fine. Username is fine. Username is there, but email and his password are not there. So that thing get added, errors.password and errors.email get added. And when it get printed here, do you remember we just observe this array graph? Okay, so related form dot email, sorry, form errors dot email and form errors dot password get executed. Now let's go ahead. Let's enter some email over here. So dot, okay, at the rate Gmail. Okay, and let's submit. So it says that, okay, only Gmail, there is no dot, and because it should be at the rate.com, right? Or whatever. So it says that it's not a valid format. We applied. Why? Because we applied the regular expression. It's so simple form validation. Okay. So if you have already aware about the JavaScript form validation, HTML form validation, same things are there. Okay. Only just we we use this use effect hook and all this handler function. Otherwise, this is so common. Okay. So that particular error get printed. Let's write .com again, and the password is 123. Now it should display, okay, password must be more than 4 characters. So I have enter 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, it's more than 10. Now it should change the value. It should change. Yes, here it is. The password cannot exceed more than 10. So let's reduce something and submit. Now everything is fine. All the data is following the validations rules, and that's why signed in successfully. So this is the one way to validate the form. There is another way, like, okay, by using the React Bootstrap, or by using the what we say it as a React hook form, or there are some if you want to create your own proper CSS and all these things, then there is a Tailwind is there. Okay, so lots of different ways are there. So validation is nothing but a providing valuable and actionable feedback to the users. Okay, here we are doing it with the help of HTML5. So how we are going to do it? So handle submit is there, set validate is there, and post name. So lots of different ways are there. So form control dot feedback. So there are different ways to do it. Okay. So either you can go ahead with it, or you can go ahead with the React hook form. Now exactly what is it? What is the React hook form? So uh, it's a flexible and extensible forms with the easy to use validation. It's a library, third party library. You can add it in your application and you can use the features of it. Okay. So what are the, again, it is available for React Web and React Native. Both the things are available. Let's get started. So it's a third party library. So obviously you have to install it with the npm install React hook form. Now, so the following code demonstrate the basic uses example. Okay. So normally what we do, we just add lots of code here. Okay. We created a separate validate function and added all the requirements and criteria with the lots of if else and all. And this is very complex code. It should not be like that. Your code should be. Now again, it depends on your requirement and whatever the environment you are there while you are creating your application. Okay. Now if your application if your support system or team is allowed to use the external libraries, there are some restrictions somewhere. Okay, so most of the things that they don't want the third party library, the whatever they want to create the application solely in a React. So such kinds of requirements are there. So by without using any third party library, this is the way to validate the form. If you are allowed, then this will be the perfect React hook form is a perfect library to write a proper forms. Okay. So one of the key concepts in a React hook form is a register your component into the hook. Again, it's a hook. Okay, what you will do? You will just register. Okay, I have this username, password, and email. These are the three components. Okay, and I want to register them. Okay, and because I want to validate them and submit it. So how you will register? So here is the way you are going to use the form. You have to import the React hook form, and then there are the two values you will get. Okay, two objects you will get: register and handle submit and use form. So register is responsible for the registration of your component. So it says that, okay, fine, handle submit, on submit we are calling, on submit we are just printing the data whatever we are receiving. Now we have a two component, one is the input and another one is the select. So both the components we have to register. So how we will register? Three dot register, and you have to put the name which you are using for that component, first name and gender. Now, after registration of the component, what you will do? You will just apply the validation. So React hook form makes form validation easy by aligning with the existing HTML standards for form validation. Now these are the standards, okay, like require, mean, max, minimum length, maximum length, pattern, and validate. Okay. So you can apply the custom validations also. You can use the built-in validations provided by the React. So here it is. Let's jump to the JS code. Now in this example, what we are doing? So in this example, what exactly it is? As you can see, we have registered the first name, last name, and input type number. Okay, age. So here we are registering the first name and last name. We just mention, okay. Now here, if you observe one thing, okay, register is in above example, it's only contain the name of the component. But by using comma, you can apply n number of validations to this particular component. It's so simple. Okay, you don't need to put that particular message and if and else. Only directly you can go ahead with the, you just register the component and put related built-in validations on it by using this comma and bracket. So we are doing here, we have written required true, max length is a 20. Same validation, we just added one pattern, okay, for the last name. So this thing also you can do. And for the age, see, do you remember for the password we added, okay, it should be in between 4 to 10. Here we can add that range, minimum 18, maximum 99. Okay, so this also we can do. So these are the built-in validations. So we just registered the age, and after that we are putting, okay, mean characters are minimum characters should, minimum value should be 18 to 99. So range also we can provide, okay. And wait a minute, let me clear the drawing. So integration and existing form, you can add it. Integration with UI libraries. So there are different libraries are there. Materialistic UI is there. So you can add the materialistic UI. Okay, one more. There is a tailwind is there. So lots of different UI you can put and combine it with the React hook form for the validation purpose. So integrated controlled inputs. So lots of things are there. Then you can check. This is really good documentation available and try out the different ways. Okay. So this is the form validation. Okay. So again, the Tailwind is a very good UI platform where we can just browse the different components are available. So 500 React and Vue and HTML related components are there. So you can check it, okay? Hero section, featured section. Consider we want to use this contact section. Directly go to the, just view it and go to the code and you can just copy paste whatever you want. So which is ready-made thing. So we don't need to think so much. There are some marketing place also there. You can go ahead if you want to purchase the valid components and all these things. So for the practicing purpose, rather than wasting time on creating UI and all this thing, color combination and floating and the layouts, don't worry, just practice it with the existing HTML and CSS code. So that's why I'm showing you this thing. Because now onwards, whenever we are going to understand some few concepts, which will be little bit clumsy, like React routes and React queries. So at that time we are not going to waste the time to create the UI of that particular component or that particular project, because routing need lots of the huge website. Okay, so we are going to clicking on particular component, that component should be loaded, existing component should be same as it is. So we require one whole project to demonstrate the route. So at that time, if you want to practice the thing, you just go ahead with the built-in UI and use it for your practice purpose. Okay. So here it is the form validation.